Welcome everyone to my food forest, my home food forest. It's such a pleasure to have you. I really am excited to show you a lot of the really fun stuff I got going on here and have been working on throughout the years. Maybe you'll learn a little bit and just enjoy what the hard work I've put into it. There's a lot of different aspects of growing that I'd like to just show you to maybe you can take it and apply it to your own yard. Um, I wanted to touch base on some of the different methods of growing tropical fruit trees and subtropical fruit trees in the same area, and also with water harvesting, creating a good microclimate in your yard. And I just want to start off by showing you this mango, which is a small. It's a small mango. It's an Indian mango. It's called a Kesar mango, which you really typically can't find in the store. And that's kind of my reason for growing a lot of this stuff is that, really the only way you're going to be able to try some of these fruits is if you grow it in your yard. So just to start off, on a yearly basis, whenever it rains, I start off by water harvesting. What I'm sitting in right here is called a swale, and it's basically a water catchment area to where I use the street and the mountain's water source to siphon into my yard. The swale fills up, runs along down the width of my yard, goes down into another swale, and as it's watering and soaking in the ground, it then curls around to the backyard in the back of the house. So, really good way to save on your water bill, but most of all, it really saturates and it fills the water table under the ground. So you not only do you not have to water as much, but the trees will then reach the water down in the ground, and they will grow a lot healthier and a lot quicker for you. So I tried to fill this swale with a lot of different organic material. It's actually dug down pretty far, but I've been putting wood chips, mulching a lot, and the worms break it down. A lot of the microbiology is thriving in it, and that also helps in turn the plants to grow a lot faster and healthier. So I like to companion plant a lot. In my yard, you'll see there's a lot of subtropicals and some tropicals that don't typically grow in this area. We get around down to around the late 20s, maybe the low 30-degree area, and typically a lot of these things might not do well. But since I have this certain method, you're able to grow really delicious rare fruits, and without having to do a whole lot of covering of the trees. I don't cover any of my trees in the winter or anything like that. So I like to plant a lot of herbs together along with trees. I use herbs in tea. I try to make tea out of them. I try to use them in cooking. I love to cook, so it's really great having all these herbs just to go outside, pick them, and throw them in whatever you're making. Um, I have there's certain things that I grow, especially in the herb, like with herbs. I grow African blue basil, which it's a basil that is a hardy basil that doesn't really it never goes to seed, so it doesn't die off in the winter. So the bees just love it. I've never seen bees like something more than African blue basil. It's just really something that they provides a lot of nectar for them. So usually when the tree or the bush is grown, the bees are just all over it. I have carob trees, as some more rare and tropical stuff like mangoes. I have papayas, and I really like to have a mix of things. So this area is more of a little bit more tropical, to where the air, in the winter, it settles down at the bottom of the hill, which my yard goes on a grade, so it kind of settles more at the bottom of the hill. So I try to plant the trees that need a little bit of chill hours, if you know what I mean by that, down at the bottom, and kind of the more little more sensitive plants up at the top. I don't with having the swale and everything, I don't usually water till around late June, mid June, late June, July, and because the ground is just really soaked and saturated, before then it's not necessary. I do have irrigation here, which I've installed, but for the most part, I've hand watered a lot, and it hasn't been too much of an issue keeping up with it in the winter. The mulch really keeps the moisture in. It provides good, brings in the beneficial bugs, fertilizes the ground. The bugs process all this mulch, and they kind of create their own fertilizer. So I don't really fertilize very much and very heavy. And yeah, I just like to get started into some of the different kind of fruit trees that you can grow in your own yard with these methods. One of the really unique trees I grow is called a black sapote. They call it a black pudding fruit. It's a South American fruit that grows on. It's actually related to the persimmon. It fruits 2 times a year, which is kind of cool. But it creates these fruits that eventually start as like kind of hard like an avocado and then turn into very soft fruit. They're high in vitamin C. They're really good for you, but they taste good too. They're not really super overly powered sweet. You can make black sapote jam out of them. There's certain recipes that you can do to just kind of like mix with certain things and different foods. But it's kind of a rare one to grow, and it's kind of an expensive one. So what I do is I've air layered the tree, and I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with air layering, but it's just a way to clone the trees that you like, and to make another another tree out of it. If you have a branch that's kind of like, if you can see this branch is kind of odd, instead of just pruning it off, I air layered the tree so that I can create another tree out of the same tree. It's really an awesome technique to use. You can also graft, grow the seedlings, graft onto the seedlings, but really air layering is a really easy way to get a bigger tree at first, instead of having to wait for a seedling to grow and then grafting onto it. That'll take quite a bit more time. But yeah, this variety I have is called an Excalifer. I got it from Steve Spangler in an Exotica nursery down in San Diego. Bought it grafted, and from what he says, when they get really mature, they grow fruits that can be up to like a pound or a pound and a half fruits that you can have. When they get soft, they turn into this really dark chocolate pudding. They don't really taste so much like chocolate, and I want to give you that disclaimer, but this variety specifically is the sweetest one I've ever tried. Tried from different friends' foods and different friends' trees, and I've tried from different places, and I've not found one that tasted as good as this one. So we'll call it the black sapote. Another one of my favorite trees to grow and to eat is called an atimoya. Close companion to the chirimoya, atimoya is a cross between a sugar apple and a chirimoya. Atimoya has a little tiny bit less sweetness than a chirimoya, which if you know a chirimoya, it's a very sweet fruit. It's really indulgent, tastes like they call it, kind of ice. Certain people will make it cold and call it like, make ice cream out of it, make different treats out of it, and it's just a really good fruit to eat out of hand. This right here is called an atimoya, and as you can see, I have one fruit left. Atimoyas fruit a little bit later than chirimoyas, so you tend to have crops around this time in summer, whereas chirimoyas get ripe around December, January, February, maybe even March, and that's their fruiting season. Atimoyas are a little more tropical, and they tend to fruit a little bit later. Really delicious fruit to have. They have a lot of little tiny black seeds in there that you don't want to eat. In other countries, they actually use them as pesticides. But in the Asian communities, they really value this fruit. Some of the fruits can be up to $12 a pound. Sometimes I've seen them up to $15 a pound, and they're just really hard to find in the store if you can find them. But it's one of my favorite fruits, if not my favorite. Comes from the Annona family, which the Annona family has a wide range of fruits. Like I said, the sugar apple, atimoya, chirimoya. It also has soursop, or graviola, they also call them. And it's just one of my favorite fruits to grow. A little bit more challenging to grow because it requires self-pollination. But in the case of atimoya, I got about 7 fruits this year, and I did not pollinate at all. So this variety is called an African Pride. Right behind it is called a Gefner, and they have a different variance in taste, but also they tend to be a little bit more self-fertile than a cherry moya would. In South America, cherry moyas are pollinated by a beetle that has a long kind of snout that can reach into the flower and extract the pollen and pollinate other flowers. And it's just here you have to the flower is first female and then turns into a male. So you have to collect pollen very early in the morning and hand pollinate yourself. I do, it's worth every bit of it. If you have to pollinate it, I tell you it's worth having the fruits, but it just requires a little more effort to grow them. So this is one of my favorite fruits to eat. They call it a sapodilla. It really is referred to as a brown sugar pear. It tastes like a pear that has been dipped in brown sugar. It's really quite a sweet fruit. Some of them are a little more sour, some are a little more caramel, depending on the variety you have. This is an Alano, which grows pretty well here. I can tell you right away that they do not like to be waterlogged in soil. They need to be planted on a little bit of a mound so that water stays away from their roots and the roots get aerated. This one's small, and I have had one in the past that unfortunately I did lose. So I want to give you the best possible advice in growing them because they're such an amazing fruit, and I do know of people that grow them and friends that I've had that grow these types of fruits and do really well with them. They are slow growing. They take quite a while, but the reward of tasting the fruit is well worth the time you spend growing it. It's a South American fruit. They have it in Asia, Hawaii, different tropical climates. But it's just a very delicious fruit, and I recommend you growing it in your backyard. So I really would like to discuss some of the really fun stuff I grow. Some stuff a little more rare, some stuff a little more common. I'm sure a lot of you will know of the things that I grow, and you grow it in your yard as well. Um, I inherited a really awesome dragon fruit collection. If you can see along this line right here, there's a series of pots, 20-gallon pots. Each one has its own dragon fruit variety. So some of them are seedlings that have not ever fruited that will develop fruit that you can just kind of like crapshoot and you roll the dice and see what you get. But a lot of them are named varieties. They're just really good growers. Everything has its own different attribute to it that you want to grow. Some are a little hardier, some are a little sweeter, some are a little bigger, and just having so many of them, I'm so grateful to have because they're really delicious. I don't know if you know about the health benefits that come with dragon fruits, but they are really good for your health. They're good for diabetics. Diabetics and not a disclaimer to consult your physician if you would like to try and eat certain fruits. But a lot of times with these fruits, they really have good health benefits. As long as they're kept in moderation, you can really enjoy a lot of them and not have to worry too much about it. So as you can see, I have a lot of dragon fruits here, and we can go into the more details in the future about different varieties. But also next to it, I have bananas. This is a Musa Cross red banana. It's the one of the ones that hasn't fruited for me yet, but I do have bananas along the line that have fruited and were just absolutely delicious. I mean, you can't really find these varieties of bananas in the store. Some are a little bit more sour. Some of them have a little bit of a different kind of flavor to them, and they're just really good bananas. I've never tried bananas that are better from the store. Over here we have something called a jaboticaba, and jaboticabas are really special in that they fruit along the trunks, kind of like a fig. But they create this kind of tropical flavored grape that is just really tasty. I have not had any in my yard that have fruited yet, but I have tried them in Florida, and they're really delicious fruits. They take quite a while to grow and fruit from seed. Sometimes 10 years they take, but you can get grafted varieties online to make it a bit quicker for fruiting for you. I'm trying to keep everything on contour so that when the water comes down through the siphon, or through the siphon and the swale, it saturates in the ground, and all of the trees will reach, the roots will reach that water. Um, this is my Djibouti Kaba row. This is my banana row. And if you come over here a little bit, you can see I have a banana flower. And the banana flowers people use in cooking. It's you can use it for different uses, but I want to wait till the fruit comes out. Once the fruit comes out, then you can then use the flower. With bananas, it's kind of unique because you want to have three generations of bananas. You want to have grandfather banana, father banana, and son banana, or grandmother banana, mother banana, and granddaughter banana. You want to have those three in succession, and it's about the time for me to prune some of these off. They're clones of the mother, so you can create banana. You can essentially create more bananas just from one plant that you can create. They grow really fast. It's a year and a half to 2 years they start fruiting. And in this area, they're considered a tropical plant, but in this area, they really do well. I mean, they kind of take a little bit of a hit in the winter, but they come back right away and just kind of flush out in the summer and the spring. So, so yeah, as you can see, I have a lot of different types of fruit trees. I try to keep a lot of the, as I discussed before, I try to keep a lot of the more sensitive fruit trees up on the top of the hill, and the more hardier fruit trees that need a little bit of chill hours, the stone fruits, down here. I have a lot of different varieties of fig. I can go through all the varieties with you, but just some that kind of stand out are, if you take a cutting of fig, which you can grow figs very easily from cuttings. I got one from Italy. My mother's side, we're from Italy, and she had brought it over several years ago, and I took a branch from her yard, brought it to mine, and now I have these really delicious figs that are super, kind of I would say a rare variety here. There's hundreds of varieties of figs, so having that one variety is rare to find. So it's a really delicious fig. There's so many different types. There's a Texas everbearing fig. There's a brown turkey fig. There's a strawberry jam fig, or tiger panache fig I really like. There's a purple Smyrna fig I have, and they're all just so different, but really good to have in your yard. They're just really awesome. So if you make your way over here, kind of changing it up a little bit, I wanted to show you some of the kind of little more tropical trees that you can grow, and that are not typically grown in this area, but they'll kind of, they kind of take a little bit of a hit in the winter if you don't protect them. Which my motto is, I don't like to protect trees, because if they cannot survive here, it's really too much effort. I have over 100 trees in my yard. It's on a third of an acre. So I'm not able to really have the time or the effort to cover them all in the winter and kind of have a greenhouse for them. So I try to companion plant. I create kind of a, plant it under a microclimate to where things kind of, wind breaks, and it's a little bit warmer underneath the canopy of trees. So this tree does pretty well here. It's been there about 2 years, and it's I hope to have it fruit in the next couple of years. So this is called a wax jambu. It's not a super sweet fruit, but it's very it has a lot of moisture in it. It's good for taking on hikes. It's got a unique flavor where it kind of tastes a little bit like a flower. And it's got like a bell shape, really pretty fruit, very pretty. And it's nostalgic for me, because I've been having them from friends of the family and stuff like that. A little more in the Asian community, you tend to see it, but it's just a really delicious fruit to have, and I'm so excited that it's growing and doing well here. As far as as you can see, I try to use existing trees in the yard to grow upon. This is a dragon fruit cutting called a Delight, growing on the pine tree, which if you manage it well, it will produce in about 2.5 years, and it'll produce fruit for you. So another tree I wanted to showcase is one of my favorites. It's a very unique tree, and it's really like a magical tree. This is called a miracleberry plant slash tree. It's more of a tree because it'll grow bigger. But here where we live, it kind of really stays bushy. It doesn't really get it turned into a huge tree. It's much better to have it in a pot because it requires acidic soil. But just to let you know about it, you don't really eat this berry, this miracle berry tree for the berry. It's actually more well known for the effects that it gives. So if you eat a miracle berry and you wait a few minutes, you can bite into a lemon per se, and it will taste sweet like lemonade. It totally inverts your taste buds. If you eat bitter things, it takes away the bitterness of it. It's used in chemotherapy. A lot of times, people they have these tablets that they make, and you can buy them online. You can buy them on YouTube, but I'm sorry, on eBay. But in this for this plant, it's just really more about the effects that it gives. It'll last 2 to 3 hours. So don't go eating hot sauce with vinegar because vinegar will turn into really a sweet thing, and that's kind of the experience in having it I've had that I kind of watch out for. I don't want to eat breakfast burritos, after eating a miracle berry. But it's just a really amazing plant. It is sort of cold sensitive, so you do want to protect it a little bit in the winter, which is why I keep it in pots. But it's a really great thing to have. If you'd like to purchase one, I purchased mine from La Mimosa Nursery in Montebello. It's really close to East LA, and Tom over there is a really awesome guy. If you ever need any referrals or anything, or where it is, please let us know. It's a really wonderful fruit to have. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of a passion fruit or lilikoi. You can find them in Hawaii, but I wanted to show you an application of how I grew that can be a little bit unique. I don't know the name of this tree, to be honest. I have tried to find the name, and I know it's kind of a common tree, but it has a really pretty purple flower that grows on the trunk. What I did was I planted a passion fruit nearby, and the passion fruit is so prolific that it just kind of took over this tree. I Instead of cutting it back and trying to protect the tree, I just kind of let it go. And as you can see, the tree is still really healthy and thriving. But within this tree, there's a lot of passion fruit vines. Off one tree that I planted, it creates at least a couple 200 to 300 fruits per year, per season, and it actually fruits year round. So being as it were, even I have some photos in the snow to where I still picking passion fruit, where it does kind of a snow here just a little bit every other year, kind of so often. But it's just a really great way to companion plant, to plant some trees, plant some vines that will kind of take over a tree that you don't really mind it taking over, and producing a whole lot of fruit. The fruit, if you haven't had it before, tastes like kind of a little bit. It's sour. These have a good sweetness to them, but it's kind of a real tropical flavor. You can use it to flavor drinks, teas. I make passion fruit butter, which is a really amazing thing to have. Kind of like a curd, passion fruit curd, they also call it. And it's really a delicious fruit to have in the winter. It's kind of like you'd use as a lemon. Instead of having a lemon, you use it passion fruit. And it's a really delicious fruit to have in your backyard. Very easy to grow. Doesn't require a ton of water. Somewhat drought tolerant. I don't water that tree back there, and it produces quite a lot of fruit. And the only thing to watch out for, though, is that you can harbor some rodents within it. I noticed that some rodents tend to live in there, and I have to kind of, unfortunately, deal with that issue. But if you keep on top of it, it can be really manageable. So this is the passion fruit, also called lilikoi, also called Passiflora edulis, which is really delicious, one of my favorite fruit trees. This concludes my yard tour. I'm really happy and enjoyed showing you some of the rare fruits and things you can grow in your yard. I really want to give a lot of thanks to the California Rare Fruit Growers. I've learned so much from them, and a lot of the things I've discussed have really stemmed from being a part of it. I really love to learn myself, and I feel like there's so much out there that I haven't learned. Even as much as I've gone through, there's just a whole world of things that you can grow in your yard. and don't be discouraged. Don't. A lot of people told me I couldn't grow things in the beginning. A little bit of naysayers at times, but I kind of just kept trucking on and found out different ways, researched what to do, and now I'm able to eat some of these really delicious tropical fruits that you can't find in stores. And that's really the main reason why I started. When I was a kid and growing them, I really loved having them as a kid, and now that I've grown into adult, I try to just spread that love. I love to give kids have kids try fruits and get them kind of started early like I did. And there's so much out there to explore and learn that I would love to try to give you the best information and try to help you, give you resources to grow them. If you need any further assistance with growing, or if you'd like to grow some of these things and learn, we have a fruit orchard at Jurupa Mountains, in Jurupa Valley, California, that we have a 1 acre plot that we grow all kinds of rare fruits. We have a citrus orchard. We meet there the first Thursday of every month, as you can see being here. And once things kind of open up and start up again, we'd love to have you join us there and just have a good time. Think of it as an extension of your backyard. We all don't have a lot of land to grow, and I'm very fortunate, very lucky to have the space to grow in. But I'm willing to, go every month to Jurupa Mountains, be with a lot of great people. It's a great group. We have potlucks, we have everything, and we'd love to have you come and join us. So please do. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for being here. Please continue to grow rare fruit, and I will be here to, if you need any help, any questions, let me know. Thank you.